A meditation of the miseries of man from infancy to old age. Taken from the Practice of Piety, written by Lewis Bayley. What wast thou, being an infant, but a helpless, unconscious creature, having the human form, but without speech or reason? Thou wast born in the stain of original sin, and cast naked upon the earth. What cause hast thou to boast of thy birth, which was pain and anguish to thy mother, and to thyself the entrance into a troublesome life, the greatness of which miseries, because thou couldst not utter in words, thou didst express as well as thou couldst in weeping tears. What is youth but an untamed beast, all whose actions are rash and rude, not capable of good counsel when it is given, and ape-like, delighting in nothing but in toys and babies? Therefore thou no sooner beganest to have a little strength and discretion, but forthwith thou wast kept under the rod, in the fear of parents and of masters, as if thou hadst been born to live under the discipline of others, rather than at the discipline of thine own will. No tired horse was ever more willing to be rid of his burden than thou wast to get out of the servile state of this bondage, a state not worthy the description. What is man's estate but a sea wherein as waves one trouble arises in the neck of another, the latter worse than the former? No sooner didst thou enter into the affairs of this world, but thou wast enwrapped about with a cloud of miseries. Thy flesh provokes thee to lust, the world allures thee to pleasures, and the devil tempts thee to all kinds of sins. Fears of enemies affright thee, suits in law vex thee, wrongs of ill neighbors oppress thee, cares for wife and children consume thee, and disquietness betwixt open foes and false friends do in a manner confound thee. Sin stings thee within, Satan lays snares before thee, conscious of sins past doggeth behind thee. Now adversity on the left hand frets thee, and unprosperity on thy right hand flatters thee. Over thy head God vengeance due unto thy sin is ready to fall upon thee, and under thy feet hell's mouth is ready to swallow thee up. And in this miserable state, whither wilt thou go for rest and comfort? The house is full of cares, the field full of toil, the country of ruinous, the city of factions, the court of envy, the church of sects, the sea of pirates, the land of robbers. Or in what state wilt thou live, seeing wealth is envied, and poverty contempted, wit is distrusted, and simplicity is derided, superstition is mocked, and religion is suspected, vice is advanced, and virtue is disgraced? Oh, with what a body of sin art thou compassed about in a world of wickedness! What are thine eyes but windows to behold vanities? What are thine ears but floodgates to let in the streams of iniquity? What are thy senses but matches to give fire to thy lusts? What is thine heart but the anvil whereon Satan hath forged the ugly shape of all lewd affections? Art thou nobly descended? Thou must put thyself in peril of foreign wars to get the reputation of earthly honor, oft times hazard thy life in a desperate combat to avoid the aspersion of a coward. Art thou born in a mean estate? Lord, what pains and drudgery must thou endure at home and abroad, to get maintenance, and all perhaps scarce sufficient to serve thy necessity. And when after much service and labor a man's got something, how little certainty is there in that which is gotten, seeing thou seest by daily experience that he who was rich yesterday is today a beggar, he that yesterday was in health today is sick, he that yesterday was merry and laughed has cause today to mourn and weep. He that yesterday was in favor today is in disgrace, and he who yesterday was alive today is dead. And thou knowest not how soon, nor in what manner thou shalt die thyself. And who can enumerate the losses, crosses, griefs, disgraces, sicknesses, and calamities, which are indecent to sinful man, to speak nothing of the death of friends and children, which ofttimes seems to us far more bitter than present death itself. What is old age but the receptacle of them all maladies? For if thy lot be to draw thy days to a long date, in comes old bald-headed age, stooping under dotage, with his wrinkled face, decaying teeth, and offensive breath, testy with choler, withered with dryness, dimmed with blindness, absurded with deafness, overwhelmed with sickness, and bowed together with weakness, having no use of any sense, but of the sense of pain, which so racks every member of his body, that never eases him of grief, till it has thrown him down to his grave. Thus far are the miseries which accompany the body. Now the miseries which accompany chiefly the soul in this life. The second meditation. The meditation of the misery of the soul in this life. The misery of the soul will more evidently appear if thou wilt but consider, first, the felicity she has lost, and second, the misery which she has brought upon herself by sin. First, the felicity lost was first the fruition of the image of God, whereby the soul was like God in knowledge, enabling her perfectly to understand the revealed will of God. Secondly, true holiness, by which she was free from all profane error. Thirdly, righteousness, whereas she was able to incline all her natural powers, and frame uprightly all her actions, proceeding from those powers. With the loss of his divine image, she lost the love of God, and the blessed communion which she had with him, wherein consists her life and happiness. If the loss of earthly riches vex thee so much, how shall not the loss of this divine treasure perplex thee much more? Second, the misery which she drew upon herself consists in two things. First, in sinfulness, and second, in cursedness. Sinfulness is a universal corruption both of her nature and actions, for her nature is infected with a proneness to every sin continually. The mind is stuffed with vanity. The understanding is darkened with ignorance. The will affects nothing but vile and vain things. All her actions are evil. Yea, this deformity is so violent that often in the regenerate soul the appetite will not obey the government of reason, and the will wanders after and yields consent to sinful motions. How great, then, is the violence of the appetite and will in the reprobate soul, which still remains in her natural corruption. Hence it is that thy wretched soul is so deformed with sin, denied with lust, polluted with filthiness, outraged with passions, overcarried with affections, pining with envy, overcharged with gluttony, surfeited with drunkenness, boiling with revenge, transported with rage, and the glorious image of God, transformed into the ugly shape of the devil, so far as it once repented the Lord that he ever be made a man. From the former flows the other part of the soul's miseries called cursedness, whereof there are 2 degrees, first in part and second in fullness thereof. Cursedness is part that which is inflicted upon the soul in life and death, and is common to her with the body. And second, the cursedness of the soul in life is the wrath of God, which lies upon such a creature so far as in all things, not only calamities, but also varied blessings and graces turn to ruin. Terror of conscience drives him from God, and his service that he drives not come to his presence in ordinances, but is given up to the slavery of Satan and to his own lust and vile affections. This is the cursedness of the soul in life.